Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, today's topic, I am going to kind of be reusing this footage that I think was from last week. When I was doing a mission, it was, go to the wrecked freelancer. I'm trying, for some reason, I don't have pirate missions unlocked anymore, so I had to start doing little pirate things to try to get them unlocked. And I had to do this mission where, you go to the crashed freelancer on Daymar, and I still enjoy these little missions. I still have fun with them. But one of the things that I noticed as I was kind of doing this mission is that this sandy planet with the sandstorm, it reminded me of something. That's right, the crash of the Botany Bay on SETI Alpha 5? Was it SETI Alpha 5 and it was SETI Alpha 6 that they thought it was, but SETI Alpha 6 exploded? Well, I'll have to go watch Wrath of Khan again. But, I feel that these missions have kind of not received the love that they deserve. And I think that they've kind of been forgotten in this kind of rush and in this surge to kind of go, oh, here's a new mission type, and oh, here's, now you can go down into bunkers and fight enemies in bunkers. I feel that that's kind of a waste, especially considering the fact that we have these sniper rifles now. We have up to 3 sniper rifles, but most of our combat happens in these very closed, very short range environments, which kind of is like, why are we making sniper rifles if everything is almost done at handgun range, I feel that when you come to these crash sites, that maybe there should be like a ballista here, or one of the AA jeeps or something like that, or an NPC who's carrying anti-ship missiles, the new anti-ship missile launcher. And so you should have to land some distance away, and you should have to travel to that location to retrieve the crate and maybe take those NPCs out. That, to me, I think that if you were to make those little tweaks and put these things and add them to these missions would, they would make a little bit more sense, because if the wreck is just abandoned on the surface of the planet, then anyone can go get the goods and you don't need to create a mission for it. But if there's some risk involved, that's when they would say, oh no, I'll just put some money out there and see who succeeds, I feel that if there were NPCs kind of scavenging these locations, if you remember, I think, what was it, the 3.0 trailer? There was a little bit of controversy around that because it showed a whole bunch of gameplay that we weren't going to get. And, one of them was one of these crash locations. There were pirates holding some people hostage and somebody got pistol whipped or something like that. That stuff should exist at these locations. I really kind of detest the fact that when we do collide with NPCs and we have to have a firefight with them, it's always within the confines of a bunker or within the confines of, like, say, SPK. To me, there should be ground enemies here. There should be a few cyclones. Cyclones? Yeah, it's the Jeep. The cyclones or ballistas hanging around, and you should have to fight your way in. You should have to land your ship maybe a ways away and maybe come in on your space bike or something like that. Or you can kind of move in on foot and use a sniper rifle to kind of pick out a few enemies, take them down, and then move in, get the goods, and get out. Especially even if you have like sort of like a sandstorm environment like we have here, I feel that that's a good opportunity to maybe introduce some, different mechanics with some of these sniper rifles, and maybe have one that has, a scope that detects body heat, sort of like predator vision, or, something that works on the infrared scale, so you can kind of see through the sandstorm and still take people out. Interesting, cool, futuristic ideas like that. There's a lot of room within even these limited kind of, very tier 0 implementation missions that are kind of an artifact from the very early days of 3.0, that I think that would add a lot more replayability and a lot more fun to these missions. And I think that that's what the persistent universe needs very desperately, is a sense of replayability and a sense of value to gameplay. The value to gameplay, of course, is going to come down the road once we get persistence, and once the money you make is the money that you have, and it's not going to get erased. But even now, I think adding a little bit of challenge like this and adding some interesting aspects to a pre-existing, mission format that you already have, that kind of dials up the difficulty, but also dials up the fun and the immersion factor, I think would make it a lot more rewarding to play the game and a lot more enjoyable. I really do detest the fact that every time we run into NPCs, they're in these enclosed environments. I wish that they were out in the open. I wish that, when we talk about the Pathfinder demo from years ago, I think, what was it, 2016, when they go down to the surface of Lear and they're at the crashed javelin and the guy has to fight his way in. I wish that we had locations like that. I wish that the crashed javelin on Daymar was a hideout for the Ninetales, and you would have to infiltrate it if you're, let's say a law-abiding mercenary player. You have to infiltrate it to take out some person in the Ninetales, or maybe if you're working for another pirate group, you have to go in there and steal some goods from the Ninetales and bring it back to them. Things like that, basically all the ingredients and all the parts that you need to make that work are already in the game. These are already things that are delivered, but they're just not implemented in a way that makes it fun or makes it interesting. Now, when you think about sort of bunker missions, right? We've all done them, but for a long time they were kind of unenjoyable, and there are some question marks around the NPC's accuracy and, the game's performance, because it's like you empty an entire clip into somebody's head and they don't die, and then they shoot you once and you die. And there's a lot of frustration around that. But with the addition of the Cutlass Red into the game and that ability to set those medical beds as a spawn point, I think that has dialed up the replayability of those missions. And I think there is kind of a missed opportunity too, because I think that what CIG should do is they should take every bed on every ship and make it so that you can make those beds as your spawn point, but the medical beds, sort of like on the Cutlass Red and on future ships like the Apollo and the Endeavor and whatnot, that those beds can be the only place that you can actually do medical work at, where you can go and heal yourself. But any bed can be set as a spawn point. I think little changes like that could take the existing missions and make them a lot more fun and make them a lot more interesting. I mean, we're always going to be excited for the next big career. Oh, when are they going to bring in salvage? Oh, when are they going to bring in this? When are they going to bring in that? But in the surge to kind of move ahead with all these things, I think that there is a lot of low-hanging fruit in a lot of these missions. And with some of the pre-existing ships and things like that CIG knows that they can do, that could add a lot more replayability to this content and make it a lot more enjoyable for players. I think that we're always going to want more things added to the persistent universe, but I think that even with the existing things that we have now that CIG has proven can and do work within the game currently, that with a few tweaks and a few little minor changes, that CIG can really kind of dial up the enjoyability of playing in the persistent universe, which is kind of one of those things that pushes back on this kind of like, when is the next thing coming out? Well, I've tried the new ship and I'll see you in 3 months sort of thing, where people go, oh, well, that was fun, and yeah, I'll play Star Citizen again when the next patch comes out. I think that if you make little changes like this and you look at the content that you already have, the things that you've already proven work within the game, and you kind of find creative ways to kind of work with those things, you can really dial up the replayability and the enjoyability of the persistent universe as it exists right now. I mean, a perfect example would be the fact that if your ship gets blown up, but you've modified your shields and your weapons and you've added all these different things onto your ship, that makes doing that much more worthwhile. That when you get your ship back, oh, it has the guns, it has the shields again. And that added replayability and that added, meaning to gameplay. And I think that CIG should push on that frontier a little bit further. Add a little bit more complexity to the existing missions that you have. turn every bed in the game on a starship into a spawn point, but limit, the medical services once they're implemented to the ships that have actual medical beds. I think things like this would really kind of make the persistent universe a lot more enjoyable and a lot more effective at kind of pushing back against this constant, when is this coming out? When is that coming out? Or, oh, well, I've tried the new thing. See you in 3 months type attitude, which I don't think really kind of bodes well for the long-term, health of the game. I think that people really need to, with a few tweaks, people, I think, can really start to really enjoy playing in the persistent universe a lot more, rather than just saying, oh, I want to see the new thing and then I'm done. I don't know. Bit of a ramble, but those are my thoughts on the current content, and I think how it should be tweaked and changed to foster, player participation and enjoyment in the persistent universe. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.